Week 14 of the Northern Super League starts right now, and it's at the Wanderers grounds. Halifax Tides FC taking on AFC Toronto. Both teams with a win streak that they're looking to protect. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ashley Docking, and I'm joined by former youth international Jessica Lisi. And Jess, Halifax has built some momentum. They've won 2 in a row, but offensively, they haven't scored more than 2 games in any given match. So players like Anika Leslie are pivotal in keeping AFC at bay.
Leslie is a player that came in late to the mix, but she's made such a difference when she has come into that center back role for them. She's providing structure and that leadership that's been needed in that back line. She's shown what she's capable of 1v1. She's very gritty and hardworking, and I think she's going to be key to having to shut down that Toronto attack.
Now, when you talk about this Toronto attack, obviously Kaylee Hunter is somebody who stands out, but Victoria Picket, she is somebody who is the puppet master. She does a lot of stuff that she might not get a lot of credit for.
She's absolutely played a pivotal role for Toronto this season. Her work ethic on both sides of the ball has been crucial in them finding success. She has a high IQ. She's been key for them in transitional moments and build-up play as well. So she's definitely a fierce player, and I'm excited to see her get on the pitch today.
Well, Jess, grab your green hat because Toronto is going streaking. They've won 4 in a row, and they started it off with a West Coast sweep. Vancouver and Calgary, they got the best of them. They came home and they beat Halifax and they beat Ottawa. So a win tonight will extend their NSL record win streak to 5, and it's one of the reasons that they've been able to shoot up the standings. They have kind of bumped up their conversion rate. They've been much more clinical in and around goal, which head coach Marko Milanovic said they work on specifically, and that's how they find themselves with 22 points ahead of Montreal, Ottawa, Calgary, Vancouver in the middling area, and then Halifax. They're at the bottom of the table, but don't sleep on them, Jess, because a win here tonight will catapult them over Vancouver, and then they'll be in contention in conversation with Ottawa and Calgary. We have our first matchup of NSL Week 14 coming in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. It's starting 11 on the other side of this break. Halifax Tides FC are getting ready to host AFC Toronto at the Wanderers grounds, and let's take a look at the starting 11 that are up to the task. It is going to be 3 changes for the home side, including 2 players getting their first NSL start in Daphne Blouin and Anne-Valerie Setto.
Both of these players have stepped up when they've had the moment to do so. Setto has been a player that has done well when she comes in. She's brought intensity and craftiness to help them in the attack. And Blouin obviously getting her first ever goal for this team in their last matchup against Montreal to catapult them to their second win. Well, second win in a row.
First NSL goal check, first NSL start check, first pregame interview with Ashley and Jess. Yep. Double check. Daphne, thank you so much for joining us pitch side before your match. Now, your first NSL goal came in your last game, a win against Montreal. What did that moment mean to you?
It means a lot. That goal allowed us to have very important points on the road, and I hope it will give the teams a lot of energy to continue that streak today.
One of the things that your interim head coach, Stephen Hart, said to us this week is that he was hoping when he came in to kind of change your guys' mindset a little bit, have a little bit more faith in what you're able to accomplish. The results are demonstrating that. How does it feel now that things have shifted a little bit internally?
It just feels great. I feel everybody now has the energy and a lot of more confidence. So I'm pretty sure this new energy will help us have better results.
Well, we look forward to seeing it tonight in your match. Good luck, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For the visiting side in AFC Toronto, they feel like they've almost got the recipe correct, but just a little tinkering from Marko Milanovic and the coaching staff. One change in the starting lineup.
You look at that 5 across the middle, and these are players that have played such a big role for them. I look at Nikki Small, and this is a player that we've spoken about so much, and rightfully so. She's done so much for them, helping in the attack, and Kaylee Hunter is a player that has been able to benefit from that. We've seen her obviously scoring a brace in the last matchup. She is somebody that has been instrumental in creating attack for Toronto. I think she's going to have a big game today to continue to get them on the board.
Kaylee Hunter leads her team in scoring with 6 goals, and we had a chance to catch up with her before the match, pitch side. Kaylee, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I think one of the themes across the NSL as a whole has been a struggle for teams to grasp that consistency. You guys have now won 4 in a row, so what has led to your ability to have some consistency in your results?
I mean, we all come together as a team very well. We all have really good cohesion on the pitch, so I think just keeping that up, and I mean, this is a beautiful pitch that we get to play on tonight, so I think just push through this game, get another win, and then, yeah, it's 5. We're making history.
You had a brace in your last match. I'm curious as to who you feel that you play alongside that makes your life easier in terms of your scoring opportunities.
For me, it's all credit to my team. I mean, with every goal, there's an assist. So, I mean, I've been scoring on the pitch, but it wouldn't be possible without them. So all credit to them. I mean, we've been super successful so far, so we just got to keep that momentum up.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, I love that Kaylee Hunter has said that it's a group effort in getting this result 4 in a row, but Nikki Small, as we see her there in frame, their connection has been fantastic, and quite frankly, the Hunter goal to start things off against Ottawa, that was all grunt work by Nikki Small.
Yeah, the partnership's been fun to see. I think, we saw Okoronkwo when she was in the mix. Obviously, she's away now with Nigeria, but when she was in the mix, she was the one that was scoring the goals. Her and Kaylee Hunter had created this fun partnership that we saw going on, and Nikki Small as well was a part of that. But now we're seeing this partnership thrive between Small and Hunter in the absence of Okoronkwo, and Hunter's taking over that goal scoring. She is somebody that has stepped up tremendously in that absence, and I think that she's done very well for herself.
She is thriving, and this Halifax side is going to need to keep her at bay, as my partner Jessica Lisi said in the open, because this Halifax side has not necessarily found that scoring touch just yet. Speaking with their interim head coach earlier this week, Stephen Hart, he said against Montreal, their 1-0 victory, that goal by Blouin, we got lucky. He said, I don't think we created as many chances as maybe we would have liked to. A lot of half chances, but we were advantageous. So he thinks defense is going to be a factor here today for them.
Absolutely. Good defense wins you games. I've been told that multiple times in my career, and you hate to hear that. Honestly, as a forward, you hate to hear that, but there is so much truth behind it, and we've seen what this Halifax team is capable of when they stay compact.
It's not all about us, said the forwards, as we get ready to start things off here at the Wanderers grounds in Halifax. It is the Tides who have won 2 in a row. They have 10 points. They're backed in this one by Annika Toth, and they are going to possess the ball to start off with. They're in the white kits going right to left. AFC Toronto, the visiting side, is wearing red, and they are going left to right. This is a big match for both sides, I think, as I mentioned in my interview with Kaylee Hunter. Consistency is something that every single coaching staff has talked about. How do you find it? How do you keep it? And for the first time really this season since the Montreal Roses had their hot start, it's been Toronto that's been able to capture it. Our first goal kick here for the Halifax side. Annika Toth is a Toronto native. She plays for Slovakia international, excuse me, and she is somebody who has come in and really shared the role with Erin McLeod, but when she's gotten her hands on the reins, she has been very astute for them and sturdy in the backside.
She's done well, and you love to see it, right? When you're a young player training under an Erin McLeod, you're going to learn a lot of things, and you're going to be able to implement them into the game. And I've played alongside Annika Toth, and she's a fantastic goalkeeper at that. But just seeing her grow already through this season has been really exciting. I think that, the sky's the limit for her.
Toth collected the first points for Halifax in a 0-0 draw against Montreal, as we see a little bit of clutching and grabbing early on, that infraction on Daphne Blouin, making her presence felt early in this matchup, not trying to waste the opportunity for her first NSL start. AFC Toronto to take over in the middle of the pitch. And Regan makes an advantageous run. She'll decide to slow up and play it a little bit more demurely, a little bit more conservative. And what else can we say about Emma Regan? She is somebody who has been calm and composed, and every single match we talk about her, it's always the same thing. She's such a great leader for them. As another opportunity here in the box, AFC Toronto pushing early, forcing the issue. Turnover just outside the 18. Cross. Headed up, but not out. And a shot on goal. That falls to the foot of Noyota Takembo, and that does not hit the face of goal.
We're seeing both Katembo and Barnett already very heavily involved, but those two players are going to be key for Toronto today as well in exposing those flank areas, specifically in how they're lined up tactically here. So I'd love to see this from Barnett and Katembo continue to get forward, continue to get involved. Katembo obviously not able to get her body over that and redirect it towards frame, but she has to continue to get forward and try it.
Turnover. That AFC Toronto pressure getting to Halifax early as Hunter tries to turn down towards the end line and draws the corner kick for her efforts. A look at interim head coach for Halifax, Stephen Hart. You know, he has a lot of experience on the men's side of the game in particular, but spent some time as an assistant in the NWSL for the Portland Thorns under Rob Gale. He said that opportunity was eye-opening in terms of how you approach the women's game versus the men's game, and he's very excited to be making an impact here, but he said specifically, I don't want to come in with a sledgehammer. I want to see how things work. That dispatched easily by Halifax, and it's going to be a mulligan here for Toronto. And just finally on Hart, one more thing. He said he hasn't really had any time with them. Before their first game, 2.5 sessions. That's it, Jess. So really trying to encourage, but not come in here and make waves without having a full sense of what's going on. As we'll get another corner here from Toronto for a moment, but we have some mulling around in the box. Karima Lemir goes to the ground. Our referee wants to have a word with Victoria Picket. You see them both laughing. And Colby Barnett once again on the cross. Third time's a charm, perhaps, as Barnett not really getting the air we're used to seeing from her on these services.
This is quite out of character for her. We've seen what she can do with that left foot and that in-swinger, getting great delivery and typically for her teammates. So hopefully third time is the charm for her.
Service. A little more air on it that time. Bodies rushing into the 6, and that head attempt goes over the crossbar, but well in from Sarah Rollins.
Here's another look at that. This is a great delivery, and you see Rollins attempt to time her run there. She gets in a little early, which requires her to not be able to get her body over that ball, her head, excuse me, and be able to direct that downward. She actually ends up sending it and skying it over the bar.
Here comes the press from Toronto. Speaking with head coach Marko Milanovic, he said he thought they played okay in their game against Ottawa. Decent performance, he called it, but said that they didn't press as well as they normally do. So look for that to be a focus here as Halifax takes the opportunity to break that press. They try to go direct through the back line. Well done by that back line of Toronto to dispatch that opportunity. And now, for the first time, Halifax on the front foot.
We've spoken so much about this back line with Toronto and how they've been struggling to find a three that have really created and stood out. And I think that, you know, that's an example of how much they've grown individually, and as a unit, they're able to stay compact in that transitional moment and not get caught off guard and not step at the wrong moment, but instead decide as a unit, we're going to stay and we're going to continue to give you the space in front of you. And you have no choice but to make a decision as you continue to get closer to the net.
Speaking of closer to the net, AFC Toronto once again go in transition back the other way. That's going to be blown down in the corner. Barnett hits the grass, and you can see just the frustration from Eva Fromaux. We know she loves some physicality. She doesn't shy away from, you know, a little shoulder-to-shoulder clash. This time, she gets dinged for it.
She's never seen a 1v1 battle she didn't love. That is for sure. She goes in hard all the time, and that's what you will love to see. You love to see that from defenders and just as from players in general, but she is definitely somebody that makes the most of her opportunities when going into those 1v1 tackles.
Regan on the cross. That's dispatched by Halifax. Second chance opportunity as the ball rolls out of bounds. Another corner kick. This time on the other side, and usually it's Captain Emma Regan who takes those ones.
You also see, too, Ashley, Rollins getting involved on these set pieces. She was able to get on the end of that one as well. She's obviously got some height to her, so it is great to see her get involved and attempt to get something on frame and create a dangerous opportunity.
Plays it to ground, and a nice job breaking that up is Halifax, and you see bodies moving in transition. The ball to break the back line is broken up once again, and Toronto regained possession in the center of the pitch.
We know Toronto is a team that works hard. That was Kaylee Hunter that was able to recover there and cover some ground for her teammates to shut down that transitional moment. But that's happened twice now where we've seen Toronto cough it up and Halifax do well to create something out of it, but they have to make a better decision in those transitional moments. They have to make the most of it. And right now that decision making is letting them down a little bit, the quality in that final pass to create something dangerous and create issues for Toronto.
The one thing I will say, though, Jess, that they are doing that Ottawa struggled to do is to make those decisions quickly, right or wrong in those transition opportunities, the counter-attack. They're at least just putting their head down and going.
Yeah, absolutely. They do need to continue to do that. You're absolutely right, Ashley. I think that this is a team that has continued to show their heart. One thing that has, I think, catapulted them is their mentality, and that was something that Coach Hart mentioned to us. He came into this team wanting to transform a bit the discipline mentality that is on the pitch and wanting them to play with freedom and bravery as well, and we're seeing that. We're seeing a bit of that in, I would say, these last two matchups. Of course, it wasn't their cleanest performance.
A bit of a duel in the 18 as things did not go the way Halifax intended, and Toth able to make the best of it. We saw Toronto be advantageous in other games where there's been miscommunications on the back end. They weren't able to make Halifax pay this time, but this pressure unrelenting early on. Soto, one touch. That's saved by Katembo. Small, pushed off the ball by Karina Lemir, and back the other way go Halifax.
That's great defensive work by Lemir. You want her to use her body. She's a big player. And she also has great recognition to be able to switch the point of attack there and not keep it on that side, as she knows that Toronto is a team that is immediately going to get into defensive mode and apply pressure to her. So well on from her to be able to get in there and also recognize when to switch the point of attack to create something.
the first test for Sophia Manor, the goalkeeper for Toronto. I wouldn't necessarily call it a test, maybe a pop quiz worth 5%. Something that stresses you out if you're not ready for it, but if you're doing your reading, you're good to go. Manor, of course, has been holding things down for this Toronto side. Her first clean sheet of the season coming in their last match against Ottawa. That ball from Small has a little too much on it. Regan able to collect, and now Toronto will regroup using their back line.
Another thing to note, Ashley, is the last time these two teams met, we saw Toronto beat Halifax with one pass time and time again, from their center backs all the way up to a Kaylee Hunter or an Esther Okoronkwo or a Jade Kovacevic. And today we're not seeing them be able to do that so easily. Halifax is doing well at staying compact, applying pressure. They're on the same page so far, I would say, in finding cohesion of when to step or when to stay true to their structure and their shape. So that is great to see already those little steps of growth from the last time these teams played a couple weeks ago to now.
Everyone chopping away at it, waiting to see who comes up with it, and it's Nakamura who gets a little bit too much on the heels of Victoria Picket, and Toronto are going to get a free kick. Nakamura providing pressure in the midfield alongside Blouin. She has 3 goals for this Halifax side.
That was another example of what Picket does, collecting that second ball and being able to keep possession instead of forcing it forward. Just little things that go unnoticed at times because there isn't a stat for it necessarily.
Not from you, partner. An eagle eye. That's why we love to have you on the call. Thank you so much for joining us for this first match of Week 14 Northern Super League presented by BMO. Halifax hosting Toronto. Just hit the 14th minute here at the Wanderers grounds. Halifax riding a 2-game win streak heading into this one. Toronto 4 to their name. Interim head coach named just 2 weeks ago, and Stephen Hart taking over from Lewis Page, who will move to a more developmental role within the Halifax organization. And you never know what to expect when you make a change so early on in the season. But, you know, to your point, Jess, I think one thing that Coach Hart wanted to do as well is give his team freedom to play, make decisions without fear of retribution or losing their spot in the lineup. So maybe that breeds a little bit more creativity as that one goes unchecked. And AFC Toronto back the other way. Not for long. Norcus has to give chase to this one, but Halifax regain possession.
To your point, Ashley, I also think that it almost gives players a sense of hope as well, in the sense of, you know, it's a new coach, it's a new opinion. The players that we were seeing start maybe time and time again under Coach Page could potentially change here. We're seeing players, we mentioned both Blouin and Setto, who are getting their first ever starts. That could be something that he's seeing in training, that we're obviously, you know, we're not seeing them get many minutes, but when they do step in, they're doing something right for him to give them the opportunity. And we're also continuing to see these hard fouls on both sides of the ball, an intense game from both these teams. But yeah, absolutely to your point, I just think that this is a new opportunity for these players, and that lights a fire under you to be able to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to win this role, because it's a clean slate in a way.
Nikki Small looking to wipe the 0 off the slate of Toronto, trying to chip that toward goal. Toth able to collect it. And yeah, we saw Victoria Picket match the energy of Eva Fromaux. Both players not backing down, fearless. Norcus has had some time and space down this left flank. She'll dribble and take the ground in front of her, but an errant pass and easy to go for Katembo, who gets the ball back, and now she has time. Oh, the first touch gets away from her, and that's one that Katembo is going to want back.
That's well in by Leslie. That's great defending. She recognizes the touch. She steps in there and she makes no mistake to clear it out of danger.
Who else but Small?
That's a great ball. It's a great technique from Nikki Small, and this is where you see the timing of Leslie coming in off of Katembo's poor touch.
Timing is everything, as they say, and you see Blouin hanging all over the back of the AFC defense, and now Katembo, one more opportunity. She'll circle back, rely on Rollins. Soto to Picket. Lemir has a runner. She opts to go wide right. An unfortunate bounce for Halifax allows Toronto to get back in play. Lemir, left-footed strike, and that had a little English on it, curling its way out towards the corner. And that's a great opportunity for Halifax.
In these first 16 minutes, I would say Lemir has been a standout. She has been doing so much for them in the middle of the park, but she's also taking the opportunity to switch the ball and strike it when she has time. This is a great strike off of her left foot to be able to get that on frame and just create a dangerous opportunity. We were just talking about the shot that Blouin took, and there wasn't much on it to test Manor, but those are the shots that you want. You want players like Karima Lemir to have the confidence to be able to look up and recognize the space and strike it from distance, because she has the quality to do so.
Norcus and the Tides work their way up the left side of the pitch. Lemir repossesses, goes out wide right to Fremo. Thinks about crossing. Plays the ball down the right flank. It finds Millie Clegg. Little sustained pressure here for Halifax. Not much to do in tight quarters. Halifax will try again with the throw-in. Fremo still on the ball. Turn by Nakamura. Can't get onto the end of it. Nonetheless, it's the Tides. One v one, and a nice tackle there by Katembo. Sid Kennedy will lay the ball down for Norcus to come and take over.
Some more of that physicality that we were mentioning before.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the reaction from both players, and it's outrage from Regan, who initiates the contact, and she has a case to be made. You feel a hand on the top of your shoulder, you're gonna, raise flags.
She puts herself in between Blouin and the ball, and that's great defending from Regan to be able to recognize what she has to do. A bit of physicality there, but nothing out of the ordinary. I think that Blouin's was a bit more of a retaliation in frustration of what was going on and the fact that she wasn't able to get to that ball and create something off of it. We mentioned, Ashley, the mentality aspect of this game, and both coaches pointed out something about mentality. The last time these two teams met, there was an own goal that was scored from Toronto. Halifax was able to get on the board early, and Toronto had to be able to come back and get into the right mentality to make something happen and turn that game around and end up with the win. But this Halifax team, something that's been so key for them, we've seen them come back and fight to that final moment. When they're in the right mentality, they're a very hard team to play against. And right now we're seeing both sides bring that fierce mentality that's needed, that front-footed mentality. I keep using the word mentality, but it's just something that's so big for both sides, I would say, heading into this match and every match.
I love that Halifax has come into this match saying, we're at home. This is our park, our pitch. We don't care if you're at the top of the table and we're at the bottom. We are going to absolutely take it to you, give you everything that we have, and we'll live with the results. We have a player down, which is not something that you ever want to see. Karima Lemir is grabbing her left knee. So she'll get a moment from the medical staff as we'll get a look at what happened. Little knee-on-knee contact, that always stings.
Her knee was locked out, it looks like, so that definitely doesn't look too great. Hopefully she's able to get up from that.
Both teams will take a moment as Lemir's getting looked after to get some hydration, get some water as they check in to see if she's okay for Mo, making sure, giving her an assured pat on the shoulder. And, you know, I think early on in this one, both teams are trying to implement their game plan. Is there something that you haven't liked or would like to see more of? I know we're just 22 minutes in, but I think they're both holding their ground where they can.
Toronto's a team that does very well when they're able to control the dynamic of the game, and they're able to find those flank players like a Barnett, like a Katembo, or get the ball into Hunter and find combination play. They have a lot of great variety in their attack, and I think that's what makes Toronto so fantastic so far this season. So I'd love to see Regan get on the ball more and be able to control the dynamic of this game into their favor, to be able to create more dangerous opportunities. We haven't seen enough from them. As far as Halifax, we just mentioned mentality. That was something that Coach Hart wanted from them. You can see how bad they want this. So they're very much on their front foot, which is great. They have to continue to do that. But it's now that final decision that has to be better and cleaner from them to create more dangerous opportunities and test Manor. I don't think she's been tested other than that one shot from Lemir, but we've seen so many transitional moments from Halifax. They just have to do better when they're in them.
Ready to get back to it. Both sides retake the pitch. That ball goes from Regan back to Manor and out to Rollins. It looks like Lemir will be all right. She's standing on the sideline. We'll see if she re-enters. Probably is just waiting for the signal from the official. For now, Toronto will be up one player. And there you see her, center of the pitch. Great to see that she's able to continue. And to your point, Halifax is going to need her. She's been impactful early on.
You mentioned the aspect of pride, Ashley, and playing at home and wanting to come out and, you know, this is our field. You're not going to beat us here. And I think this is the first time this season where we've seen a short spell where Halifax is playing with confidence, and we haven't seen that on a consistent basis. So it's great to see them come out here and own it and prove that they can definitely hang with the big dogs, right? That's the question mark. They're at the bottom of the table. Can they compete against the first place team? And we're seeing here, it's obviously only 23 minutes. There's still a lot of game to be played, but so far this is a pretty even matchup. I wouldn't say anyone is completely dominated, and they've both created some opportunities, neither of them too dangerous.
And on cue, Kaylee Hunter nearly breaks it up, causing a turnover, but it will settle with the Toronto back line. Rollins on the ball. She's played in 7 matches, started 6 heading into today. Katembo cross to the top of the 6, broken up by Halifax. Sid Kennedy coming all the way back to support and clear that out. Tries to go direct at Soto once again. Soto opts to go back to Manor. There was some pressure coming from the right side, but it's finally collected by Nikki Small and wins the throw-in. Small. Defended by Lemir. She passes it up to Hunter, who turns. Hunter brought down by Wickers, and it's going to be a free kick in a dangerous territory here for AFC Toronto.
You see Small find Hunter's feet, but you know that Wickers is not allowing her to get away. We spoke about the threat that Toronto has up top. Kaylee Hunter obviously being at this very moment the biggest one in regards to her goal scoring ability, and Halifax is not going to let her go easily. So you saw Wickers do a good job at being able to stick that out. Obviously it didn't go her way and she draws a foul, but that is what you want from them. They have to stay aware. Leslie and Wickers have to be on top of their game today.
Hunter playing up front with Jade Kovacevic as the other attacker. Barnett That one squeaks past from Rowe, but rolls out of bounds. You see AFC Toronto calling for the deflection, pleading the case for a corner kick. It'll stay with Toth, however.
She attempts to get her foot on that. That was a great delivery in. I do believe there was a touch on that. It looked pretty clear cut from here, Ashley. So there is an argument to be made there. But from Mo's standpoint, she has to put her body behind that. You can't stick your leg out. That is where the ball is going to be able to deflect and go any which way, potentially going into the back of your net. So that has to be better from her defensively.
Big collision about 10 yards outside the 18, and it's going to bring out the first booking of the match. Annika Leslie, I believe, is the recipient of the yellow.
Seen another look at it here. She absolutely comes through Hunter.
Yeah, no touch on the ball, goes body first. Easy decision from our officiating crew.
And you see that often. It's part of it. A lot of center backs try to throw strikers off their game by getting physical, getting in their face, not allowing you the time and space. You begin to get frustrated at times. Kaylee Hunter is obviously a young player. She's shown what she's capable of, but it's mind games at times.
Hunter doesn't seem like one that's going to shy away from that physical contact. So sometimes those efforts can backfire.
They can. This is a very dangerous opportunity for Toronto. We've seen them score from set pieces. We've seen them strike balls in the run of play from here and get them into the back of the net. So this is dangerous.
Let's see what they have in store for us. Direct shot, and it whispers past the crossbar. 0-0 still here at the Wanderers grounds.
Kaylee Hunter wanted this. You see her not follow through completely and get her body right over the ball. Some frustration from her because she knows she can do it. We've seen her do it, right? It's frustrating, but very close from her.
Hunter getting closer and closer. And a nice recovery there by Emma Regan, and the reinforcements come in the form of Nikki Small, who gets the ball back, and she'll look up immediately. Once again, Hunter, rough day at the office. She's all over. Karina Lemir on the ground once again, holding her left foot. Hoping that she'll be okay. Lemir out of Montreal, Quebec. Played in U Sports for Université de Québec et Montréal. How's my French?
Very good.
I've been working on it. She's a highly decorated CCAA All-Star, CCAA Tournament All-Star. So Lemir is definitely a force for this Halifax side, which we've seen early here today.
I mentioned to you, Ashley, wanting to see Regan get on the ball more and control the dynamic, because that is when Toronto really shines. But you're seeing Halifax do a very good job at applying that pressure to her. Bluen's doing some great back pressure with Nakamura, who's applying the initial pressure. And you even saw Sid Kennedy creep in to allow that 3v1, making it very difficult for Regan to create anything.
Lemir whips that into the top of the sixth. Manor waiting for it. She handles that quite easily. Big ball from distance from Lemir, but no real threat to AFC Toronto.
From that distance, you have to pull it out a little further. Manor had no trouble with that. There's obviously not enough power. You're not going to get that on frame necessarily. You might, but most of the time that is a ball that you're sending into the box for runners, so it has to be pulled out just slightly further to give your team a chance.
Approaching the 30-minute mark in the first half here. Halifax Tides FC hosting AFC Toronto 0-0 so far. But an opportunity here for Halifax. Nakamura in the box. Pulls it back, top of the 18, strike, and it's Manor. Falls to the side and collects that offering from Setto. Didn't get a whole lot on it, unfortunately.
This starts off with Bluen's hustle. There might have been a two-handed push there on the back, but she does well to win this, find Nakamura's feet. Nakamura recognizing she's...
Hunter, speaking of recognizing an opportunity, grabs her face in disbelief. Second chance opportunity for AFC Toronto. Small That cross is blocked, and what a series, a chaotic series. Halifax, Toronto going shot for shot here in the first.
One chance after the other. You love to see an exciting matchup.
We'll roll this one back, the Setto opportunity, in just a moment, because AFC Toronto continuing to press, and it'll be a goal kick for Toth and a chance for both sides to breathe.
Well, both first-time starters were involved in that attack, Ashley, and that's what, you don't know what people are capable of until you give them the opportunity to shine. We're seeing Bluen bring out the physicality and hustle to be able to get there initially, win that ball from Rollins, find Nakamura's feet. She turns and she's able to find Setto, who does a very good job at getting forward and striking that on frame. And then obviously we were right down the other side, and Hunter with an opportunity to potentially put Toronto on the board.
This hydration break is powered by Powerade, as both sides will get an opportunity to rehydrate, regroup. And let's take a look at that Hunter opportunity that you talked about, because it happened so quickly. She goes in 1v1 on Toth, and Toth gets the better of her.
It starts off here. This is a great ball by Manor. Toronto winning that second ball and getting this forward. Kaylee Hunter doing what Kaylee Hunter does best. She takes advantage of that, makes the run in behind, but she doesn't strike that quite well enough to get in behind Toth. It has to be better from her in those opportunities. We know that Kaylee Hunter is somebody that has scored on multiple breakaways. One of her key factors is the fact that she can get in behind and make those runs. She's great with her feet, and she can find the back of the net. So she still had some space there to continue to go drive forward and just place it by Toth, but she definitely felt that pressure coming on her faster and faster, so she wasn't able to get that into the back of the net for that time.
And a nice bit of skill there from Jade Kovacevic, who had that one-touch opportunity with her back to goal, giving it to Hunter to send her on her way. Exciting performance for the fans at the Wanderers grounds in Halifax, Nova Scotia. 0-0 here, 33rd minute in the first half. Who is going to open things up first? Toronto, if Small has anything to say about it. She lays it off to Katembo. Back to Small. Drives forward. Katembo outside the 18. Punches it. Setto is there to break it up. And once again, that first touch from Katembo failing her a little bit. Rollins uses her head to send that to the middle. Setto doesn't get stuck in, but it bounces to Lemir. Well in by Ashley Cathro. Katembo downhill. Goes at Norcus, step over. Hunter leaves it, cross, back post, and no one is home. AFC Toronto mounting that attack, and you see that frustration from Katembo.
You're seeing how many issues they are creating for Halifax when they're finding Katembo out wide. It's the same thing that needs to be done on the opposite side with Barnett. She does well here, Katembo, to go 1v1 and get that ball across, but there aren't any runners at the back post. You saw Hunter making that run across to attempt to pull defenders out of their position, but that those wide areas are going to be key for Toronto. They have to continue to expose and find Katembo's feet, allow her to drive 1v1, go end line, get the ball in, and get numbers coming into the box.
It's always those ones that are laid out. It feels like slow motion when you're the one that's on the service or if you're the goalkeeper. AFC Toronto unable to make the most of it, but still gaining that momentum back slowly and surely. Halifax group really trying to rebrand themselves as Nikki Small takes it away, punches it to Hunter. She tries to dance around the defense, and that clearance opportunity once more taken immediately from Halifax.
Yeah, Nikki Small is a player that continues to make things happen. She finds Hunter, a bit of cheekiness there from her craftiness that we've seen from her all season, but obviously Halifax doing well to get that out of the danger zone.
Picket turns, dances around a defender, gets it out wide to Cathro, and immediately Toronto go forward. Hunter At this point, Hunter is somebody who's drawing a lot of attention, and AFC Toronto can use that to their advantage. One defender on her, at least 3 more sets of eyes.
And that is where Kaylee Hunter has to continue to make those runs to pull those players out of the position that they're in. Whether Wickers is going to pass her along to Fremo or whoever she passes her along, if there's a miscommunication, that is an opportunity.
Hunter leans in, initiates contact a little bit, falls in the 18, no whistle. Wickers says, not this time. The first time, yeah. This time, no.
Wickers is doing well to time her tackles for the most part. You see her do well here. Hunter leans into her, hoping that she's going to get that foul, but there is nothing there.
Big looping ball into the 6. No problem for Toth. Miscommunication, that one touch meant for Small. She had not started her engine just yet, and it'll roll out of bounds, goal kick.
You're also seeing there Halifax recognizing that there's no reason to step, and Norcus stays. She's able to read that that ball is going to go out wide, which didn't give Nikki Small very much opportunity to make that run in the first place.
Norcus defended by Small. Inside to Lemir. Blouin trying to trace it down. Manor will just punch it out of the danger zone, and Fremo will take over. Setto. Nakamura, the leading scorer for Halifax, thought about it. Finds Setto, who already has 1 look at goal so far tonight, but unable to move forward with intention, Halifax, in that series.
There has to continue to be more movement off the ball for Halifax to be able to create that space, get on the ball, turn forward, and create the dangerous opportunities. There hasn't been enough of that. There hasn't been that lethal edge that's needed in and around the 18 right now. There's some build-up play that leads to nothing.
Sid Kennedy trying to build something, and that header chased down by Manor. She'll opt to punch it out of bounds, trying to save that corner kick. Seems like to no avail. Confirmed shortly.
On the opposite side of the ball, Ashley, there was 2 opportunities there for Rollins where she has to have better technique and mentality going into something. You cannot time it that poorly when you're in and around the 18. She comes swinging in, misses the initial ball, and the clearance is, she has so much time to be able to clear it further up the pitch, but she kicks it directly out to the sideline, which gives Halifax a throw-in close to the goal. So it has to be better from Toronto as well defensively in those moments.
Sid Kennedy, service into the box. Flies past the crowd in front of the 6. And Corey Soto will be there to manage things for Toronto. I thought that header, that redirect, was actually off a Halifax player, so obviously Sophia Manor saw something else trying to chase that down, leading to the corner kick. Better to be sure, but nonetheless, nothing amounted for Halifax, and Toronto looking to regain possession and momentum here. Well in. Nakamura dispossessed.
Great effort by Kovacevic. She came all the way back to put her body on the line there and get it out.
Kovacevic in her 2nd start of the season here tonight. She started against Ottawa as well, up front in attack with Kaylee Hunter. She's stretching her legs. She's playing 18-18. She was the first NSL signing in league history, being brought in by AFC Toronto. They needed to wait a little bit till they got her on the pitch, and now reaping the rewards of that patience. Nakamura so good and confident.
Nakamura's been great in those transitional moments and recollecting the ball, and any sort of mishap that Toronto has had, whether it's a pass or a poor touch, Halifax has been on it, and they are regaining and attempting to create. But again, that final pass, we saw it there again. Nakamura does all the work to regain that back and then gives it away too easily into the hands of Manor.
Small, trying to turn the corner on Setto. Hunter can't quite control that pass in the corner of the 18, but Toronto remain in possession. Small. That opportunity falls to the foot of Emma Regan, and she's going to be disappointed with that offering because we've seen her make magic from that exact spot.
Well, Kaylee Hunter starts this by her movement off the ball, and she gets it to Small. But yeah, absolutely, you know Emma's going to want that one back. You see her drop her head like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I just did that. But that redirects off her foot very awkwardly, but it's exactly where her hips were facing.
There's a tough angle the way that ball was to go right-footed. You almost needed to go left or take a second touch.
Without a doubt.
Nakamura, a nice bit of skill, and she's on the way. Chased down by Victoria Picket, who gets there first, and just a fantastic display of assertiveness, and now draws the foul the other way. And another booking, the second one of the evening for Halifax.
This is also most definitely a message. This is not the first time Blouin has gone in late. We spoke about it before. There was a bit of a two-handed push from the back earlier. Nakamura does really well here, just to start that off and give her her flowers. Absolutely, she needed them, but Picket does well to get back, and then Blouin, in retaliation and trying to shut down that transitional moment, has a whole forearm through the back of Picket.
You can't do that.
There's no arguing on that one. So I definitely think that that's the right call. And the referee is absolutely sending a message that, hey, none of that is going to be happening anymore, and you have to set that tone early because it's going to continue. We've seen the physicality grow as this half has progressed.
Anne-Marie Canwell, our referee here tonight, joined by Natalie Berry, Victoria Lafortune, and Amanda Kwan. Getting out of this half 0-0 is a win for this Halifax side, especially with how Toronto was pressing in the middle portion of this first half. A minute and a half left before stoppage time. But can Norcus say something about this? That ball goes off the foot of Rollins. Falls haplessly into the 18, but no runners for Halifax, no support. Setto turns. Nakamura bombarded. Flammeau once again. And a great job by AFC Toronto to defend here in the waning moments of this first half. And we have another player down after that tackle. Daphne Blouin is holding her foot. That ball did hit off our official for the whistle blew. And that's nasty.
She got some studs to the foot there. That is not fun.
Unintentional, but nonetheless, still a foul for Katembo.
Halifax's midfield is doing a great job at finding those channels and those pockets in Toronto's midfield and being able to get on the ball and break them down. We're seeing Setto do it. She started that attack. We've seen Nakamura drop low multiple times to be able to find that ball, turn, spin forward, and create an opportunity. And we're also seeing Lemir, who's been so proactive off the ball and getting it and being able to send those diagonal balls with her left foot. She's been instrumental for them in this first half, but I would say those 3 players have really stood out for Halifax and trying to dominate the middle of the park, which we know Toronto is typically known for.
I was just going to say, not a lot of teams can say that about their midfield against this AFC Toronto team, as it's announced 4 minutes of stoppage time here at Wanderers Grounds. Week 14 of NSL action starting off here today with Halifax taking on Toronto. It's going to be a free kick for Halifax. Looking to end things off with a bang.
Lemir here finding Setto, but Kaylee Hunter a little too aggressive coming back to apply that back pressure, and she just catches Setto to...
She tried to pull it back, you could
She
tell.
did. She did. It's a little too late. The official was not having it.
Lemir pulls this one back, finds the feet of Rowe, but she's unable to redirect as she kind of catches her in stride. But that's a better service that you were talking about, Jess, after the last one.
You need to give your runners a chance, and this is a great ball by Lemir. It's perfectly floated in. She was not expecting this to land at her. She was absolutely expecting Kennedy to get on that ball and have some sort of redirection the opposite way, but Fremo, that lands right at her, and she's not able to get control of it.
Hunter finds herself in behind the defense alone, and she's thwarted once again by Toth. That's the 1v1 battle that we were waiting for, and now it's 2-0 for Toth.
That's huge for Toth. What a big moment for her to be able to come out and step up and shut Kaylee Hunter down, not 1 time, but 2 times.
Can Halifax take advantage of this momentum? That ball falls to the 6, and it's Toronto who gets there first. This game is giving me hot flashes. It's one thing to the other. Holy.
But that's what you love to see. It's what you love to watch. That's what keeps it entertaining. Both sides being able to create opportunities.
Clear push in the box from Sid Kennedy, and once again, our official will give a warning. I'm surprised there's not necessarily a yellow here too. The double-handed push in the back is quite obvious. There's no ball in play. Manor has it in her possession.
There's no reason for that. I agree with you. That should have been a card, or at least a bit more of a stern talking to, because there was no reason to be able to do that. There was absolutely none.
That was Sid Kennedy taking liberties, Nova Scotia native, played at the University of Florida for 4 years. 1 minute left in stoppage time.
Barnett's been quite quiet this half. That's not something we're used to saying. She's usually very active up and down that flank, getting crosses in the box. But they haven't utilized the left flank, I would say, as much as we typically have seen them.
Yeah, she was having trouble getting some loft on those crosses early on, and you're right, they've been favoring the right side with Katembo and Small.
Which is great. They're creating opportunities off the right side, but they aren't finding the clinical edge that's needed and the preciseness that's needed in that final pass. We saw Katembo get a few crosses in the box or take a poor touch before that final cross, and it's very much letting them down in the final third right now.
Toth, one of the easier moments to handle the ball that she's had here this evening. Under fire, under pressure, and has come up big time against Kaylee Hunter, not once but twice. 0-0 after the first 45. And that's how it will remain. Take a breath, grab some water, our very own hydration break powered by Powerade, because that was a heck of a half, Jessica.
You love to see it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that half. That's what you want to see from these teams. Halifax, the mentality, we spoke about it. They absolutely brought it in that first half. They put Toronto on their heels time and time again. They now have to clean up that final pass, that final shot, that final cross to create more dangerous opportunities, but the buildup is there. For Toronto, they need to pick it up a little bit. They need to be able to try to control this dynamic, get the ball to Regan, get the ball to Small, play the ball out wide and get Katembo and Barnett involved. And again, just like Halifax, find the preciseness and the clinical edge that's needed in the attack.
An opportunity for both sides to tinker, but for now, 0-0 halftime score here from the Wanderers grounds.
Rowe off the post and in. It's the goal we've been waiting for.
That is a highlight we will see over and over and over again.
Kazaki!
That is absolutely world class. Oh my goodness.
It's your Northern Super League halftime report presented by BMO. This is a game where everybody you can see is having a good time. The Tides fans have been treating themselves to really a stand-up performance against a team in Toronto that's at the top of the table, and there have been opportunities just for both sides in this matchup, and they have come quickly.
It's been an exciting first half. You love to see it. It's been a lot of physicality, I will say. We've seen it from both sides, going in hard to tackles. Bluen has been somebody who's been putting her body on the line, sometimes at the wrong moments. It's not necessary with the two-handed pushes, but overall, I would say that both of these teams are showing their heart and how bad they want to walk away with this win. I will also say that I think both sides need to clean it up. It hasn't been clean. They're creating opportunities to build up. There's moments where we're seeing it, but that final pass and that lethal edge that's needed in and around the 18 has been lacking for both sides. Halifax has done well in transitional moments, but yeah, Ashley, I think that overall it's been exciting.
And you can see Kaylee Hunter there, who had a brace in the last match against Ottawa. Frustration mounting for her because this Halifax side has implemented a let's get physical approach to her, and it's really paid off for them. On top of that, Toth has had Hunter's number.
It's working, right? You want a frustrated player like Hunter. You see here, she messes that up because she is in her head. She feels the pressure coming. We've seen her bag that time and time again, Ashley. So we know that she's capable of scoring it. But after a while as a striker, it gets frustrating. You know that you can run past someone and you have the technique to beat someone. But when you're getting that physical push constantly, time and time again, you're ending up on the floor. You begin to get in your head a little bit. So it's going to be key for her to come into this second half and really just forget about it and play her game, not allow Wickers and Leslie to get in her head.
And if you thought that Halifax was going to back down, there's case in point that they believe that they have a chance just as well as AFC Toronto to keep their win streak alive. They're chomping at the bit to make it 3. Toronto sitting at 4 in a row, looking for 5. And if you look at this matchup, the tail of the tape, this really does reflect what we've seen so far. I am going to say the fouls, it feels like maybe Halifax has gotten away with a few, but this is as evenly matched as it gets.
It's been a pretty even first half, absolutely. I think that this tells the tale that we were watching. Toronto hasn't been as purposeful with their possession, and we know that they're a team that is super sharp typically in the attack, so a little bit more movement from them to be able to bring out the identity that we've seen from them to put them in that first place role. But Halifax needs to continue to bring it because they've definitely lit up in that first half. You could see how bad they wanted it.
0-0 here at the Wanderers grounds in Halifax. I don't know if that's left shark or right shark, but nonetheless, everybody is going to be gearing up for a second half, 45 more minutes of what has already been an electric matchup. We will have more halftime show coming up presented by BMO. It's week 14 of Northern Super League action. Welcome back to our halftime presented by BMO. Canada Soccer has been hard at work providing fans with behind-the-scenes exposure to everything that they've been working on. And in this last episode of the On Guard documentary series, it covers Canada's preparation and match against Costa Rica. This is a snippet of episode 11.
A summer heat wave greets the women's national team as they arrive in Toronto. In a few days, they will take on Costa Rica in celebration of Pride Month before another showdown against the U.S. in Washington, D.C. Matches against top opponents in friendlies and continental tournaments are of the utmost importance as the team builds towards qualification to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. Before facing Costa Rica on the 27th, the team heads north of the city center to support current and veteran national teammates as AFC Toronto hosts the Halifax Tides.
Hunter, here comes it over Ronquo. Touch on her right foot, to her left foot. Dancing around Toth. Esther Ronquo, the Super Falcon taking flight.
Match day in Toronto has arrived.
Hey, we're at home. We need to control the tempo. We should be dominating every minute of this game. Canada on three! 1, 2, 3! Canada! Here we go!
After some resolute defending, Costa Rica take the lead.
High ball for Zadarski. That sums up what was a relatively frustrating first half for the Canadians.
Costa Rica do their best to slow the game down and protect their lead.
Briseño comes over to do her best bouncer impression. Leon took the first shove and she was not going to tolerate that.
But Canada find their way through the low block.
Shoots Hollywood with a screamer. Canada completely reverses the script. Zajavoshi. Regan will shoot. And Regan! Bar down beauty!
I think it's just a really big credit to everyone for sticking through this game and finding a way to win. But we have the best next. That's a way bigger test, and we have to start strong. Well done, everyone.
Program, and you can watch every episode of the On Guard series for free on Canada Soccer's YouTube channel. Now back to the NSL. We have a full slate of games coming up for you this weekend. Number 1 and number 2, AFC Toronto and Montreal Roses FC face off on Friday. And then you have Calgary, who are looking for the first opportunity to get the best of Ottawa Rapid FC on Saturday. And that doubleheader concludes with Halifax Tides FC against Vancouver Rise FC at 6 p.m. Eastern. I know it's a line from a popular reality TV show, but expect the unexpected here in the NSL as well. My name's Ashley Docking. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by former youth international Jessica Lisi. And Jess, I think if you looked at the table, you'd assume that this would be a runaway game for AFC Toronto. They've won 4 in a row. They sit in first, and they're playing a team that's at the bottom of the table. But it's Halifax that has come out here and matched them shot for shot, and it's going to be a very interesting second half here at Wanderers grounds.
It just proves you can't underestimate anybody. It doesn't matter where people are sitting in the standings. Halifax is a team that has quality. They haven't been able to all come onto the same page and have that translate into results, but we've seen glimpses of quality from them, and we're seeing from that first half just what they're capable of when they all put their mind to it and go forward. It's a matter of getting that all to come together to get the ball in the back of the net for them. But absolutely, Ashley, based on standings alone, you would have expected this to already have been a blowout match.
The final 45 minutes of this match are underway at Wanderers grounds, kicking off week 14 of NSL action, and it's AFC Toronto on the front foot, led by Victoria Picket. She lays it off to Nikki Small, and Lemir gets that clearance, taps her toe, and gets it back out, but back go Toronto. Toth, she has been a lifeline for this Halifax team. Jess, you expect your goalkeeper to make one big save, maybe a big save and then gets a touch on it, but she has been lights out, and right now it's Kaylee Hunter who looks at her and say, "You're the villain in my origin story today."
Yeah, absolutely. 2 breakaway saves. That's huge for her. She's stepping up. She's getting this moment to prove what she's capable of. We spoke about the quality that she has, but this is where you're seeing it exemplified in those 2 breakaways specifically, but also just throughout this first half. We've seen her come up big a few times for Halifax, so you love to see it. You love to see her shining, and hopefully the second half goes just as well for her.
We're at a stalemate here at the Wanderers grounds, 0-0. Toronto on the road against Halifax, and you know, this is a team that didn't have it easy. Their travel plans got readjusted, flight got canceled. Instead of getting in yesterday, they ended up early morning flight into Halifax, and you know, you adapt. You have to make it work regardless, and you wouldn't see any lethargicness from them. Of course, they've had a little lighter schedule than Halifax over the last 7 days. But nonetheless, this is a fantastic game, and it's Sid Kennedy trying to force the issue to the top of the 18, and we have a player down. Looks like Millie Clegg, who grabbed her leg. She's still sitting at the top of the 18, but we play on. Regan finds Small. Barnett on the ball. You know, this Toronto team, we talked a little bit about, you know, the adversity they feel as though they've faced and been able to overcome several times. And Marko Milanovic's messaging is probably something similar to that as they head into this second half here. Obi Barnett, she'll find space more than she thought she might have. She lays it off to Small. She'll swing it over to Katembo, 1v1. A burst of speed. The cross is blocked, but it's bouncing. And Toth once again pounces on it. And who else but Kaylee Hunter right in the mouth of goal.
Kovacevic is wanting this one back. You see Katembo do well here. She drives end line, uses her ability to get in there, gets the ball across, but Kovacevic fluffs on that a little bit. She's not able to get the contact that she wants.
Sid Kennedy wearing the armbands. Skanyan's daughter is off on international duty right now. She gets taken down in the 18, no foul. Setto takes over. Cuts it back, big chance. Manor finally makes the save, and she's tested there. for the first time this half.
That's a great shot, and that's great build-up. Setto doing a good job at coming across to regain that ball after Sid Kennedy is brought down to the floor. Sid Kennedy with that great effort to go 1v1 and attempt to create something, but Rowe getting involved in the attack. And Halifax is a team that has also done well when they get their fullbacks involved and get forward in those overload positions. And there she's able to find herself at the top of the 18 to get a strike off. And the ball can't go in unless you shoot, so that is what you want to see.
That's just science. That's just genuine math. Lemir, she's gone down with a couple knocks, first to the knee, then to the foot. She got stepped on by Nikki Small. Everyone in the midfield working away, grinding this one out. Rare moments that we've seen where Halifax has bested this AFC Toronto midfield group, and now Nakamura once more on the turn, trying to make it count. Kennedy turns it over. Hard for this Toronto team to press when the ball's moving so quickly. Norkus chips it in too close to goal. That runs way out of bounds. Goal kick here for Toronto.
You mentioned that, Ashley, and you're absolutely right. That is what you need to do to be able to break down a press. You have to continue to move the ball with pace, pull players out of their structure to break them down, and Halifax has done a great job at that. Their movement off the ball, being able to regain it and create those transitional moments are causing Toronto a lot of issues. And now they have to find that, put that final piece of the puzzle together to be able to connect that final pass and get the ball into the back of the net.
This is something that AFC Toronto takes such pride in, the ability to press and put pressure on the defense. And right now Halifax is getting the best of them. And, you know, really what a turnaround for this Halifax team, regardless of the result here today. They have really made a name for themselves. Nakamura, if someone's going to do it, it's going to be her. 3 goals on the season so far for this Halifax team. Such a sturdy presence in the midfield. Scored in 3 of her last 5 matches. Corner kick won by the home side.
That's great effort by Blouin to put on Rollins. But it has to be better from Rollins, and I pointed that out in the first half, her decision making and the technique and the strategies that she has heading into tackles, and she's shielding that ball out of bounds. She has to know that there's a player. You have to check your shoulder. You have to stay strong on that and not allow Blouin, who's coming from way behind you, to be able to get that off of your shin and win a corner kick.
And you've already seen Blouin and the aggressiveness that she's coming into these situations with. She's like a shark. So you have to be prepared for something. She's not going to give it up easy.
And that is great to see from her. I think that we're seeing her come out of her shell a little bit.
Miss hit by Kennedy from the corner. That one sails way over the net, not close, no opportunity for Halifax to take advantage of the set piece. So to your point about Rollins, needed to do better, but let off the hook. Soto plays that ball up to Barnett, takes it down 1 touch. Pursued by Rowe. Gets her ankles clipped, and it's gonna be a free kick here for Toronto.
She just goes in here, no contact on the ball. Straight ankle from Rowe. Hopefully Barnett's okay. She's up, that's great to see. So that definitely does not feel great.
You know, and whether you're into this level of aggressiveness or feel as though things need to be cleaned up a little bit more, we have our amazing officiating crew monitoring that on the pitch, but it seems like the game plan for Halifax, you need to take your shots when you get the chance. You need to not let anyone off the hook when you're in a 1v1 situation. The physicality has been apparent from the get-go.
The 1v1 battles are always huge for any team that plays against Toronto because there is such great individual talent. I would say across the league, there's such great individual talent, but Toronto has so many names that are recognizable, and you know what they can do in those 1v1 battles, whether it's a Nikki Small, it's a Kaylee Hunter, or whoever it may be.
Hunter's gonna get dinged for that.
But you can't give them time or space.
Yeah, that's
the takeaway.
No, that ball bounced in there, and you could see that Toronto was licking their chops, but she clipped Setto, and Halifax will move the ball forward. Now they'll repossess. Trying to get that ball past the back line is Halifax. No one there to support for Toronto. Simply kick it out of bounds, throw in for the home side. Ashley Cathro does well to guide that out of bounds once again. That's got to be a fine. A ball bounces in play from our volunteer crew. No harm, no foul for Mo once again on the throw. Turns the corner, no whistles blown, and a collision with the post. That looked nasty, and it looked like Manor was calling on medical staff almost immediately. Oh, that's really nasty looking here for Halifax.
This starts by a great effort from Bluen to keep it in bounds, but Clegg going right through that goalpost and connecting with it. You see Manor immediately calling for that attention.
Seeing her face just busted open like that, Clegg lost perspective on time and space trying to go for that opportunity. Oh, and you hate to see that. Love the sportsmanship demonstrated by Manor, immediately seeing that someone on the pitch needed aid, and oh, really unfortunate for Clegg. That looks nasty.
The mentality and the grit to want to get on the end of that from Millie Clegg is what put her in that position. So you love to see that she has that mentality to go through it. But yeah, she was just lost the timing a little bit and where she was and went straight through that post. Hopefully she's able to walk away from this all right. Head injuries are never a good thing to see.
No, not at all. And, you know, Clegg is somebody who Halifax has been trying to make the most of. 7 matches played. This is her 7th start, her 8th game here for Halifax. Been eased into the lineup. Her last match was her first 90-minute run, getting back into full form. And yeah, you can see the frustration on her face after that. Unsure if she'll rejoin, but need to get control of that bleeding first, and we wish her all the best, of course.
It's that area right under the eyebrow. If you cut that, it just continues to bleed.
She's probably said it looks worse than it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of all the blood vessels, absolutely. But you always got to be careful with those head injuries. So Clegg will get assessed and evaluated, and we'll see if we get her back in this match. Our first sub of the match, Sarola Miller, will come in and replace Daphne Bluen. Bluen, of course, getting her first NSL start here tonight after her first NSL goal in the last match, the game winner against Montreal. But now it's Miller time. Check that. It's actually Miller coming in for Clegg, so Bluen will remain in the match. So that'll be the end of the evening for Millie Clegg, and we wish her a speedy recovery from that knock. Manor, that touch almost gets away from her. Sid Kennedy was circling. And Miller has added an injection here. She goes on a foot race with Rollins. Step over. Katembo comes in and saves the day. You see Picket calling for that ball from Nikki Small on a one-touch. Unable to make the magic work in the midfield are Toronto.
It's the little things right now that are really letting Toronto down, being able to connect that 5 to 10 yard pass that we're typically used to seeing them connect. Toronto's a team that has brought so much variety, whether they're on the ball or off the ball. The movement that they have off the ball has always been so great in the attack, and we haven't seen too much of that, although there are moments where the movement is there, that the execution of the final pass or the final shot has just been off.
Okay, so listen, this is good news all around. Millie Clegg is taking the pitch once again. Her head's wrapped up and she seems to be okay. So a little bit of miscommunication, but confirming Miller in, Clegg back in, Blouin is out. And we will let you know if anything else changes, but this is where we stand right now. And you see Miller talking to Kennedy, trying to align themselves as another corner kick opportunity comes for Halifax. And just their last corner opportunity amounted to nothing. Kennedy launched that way over the net out of bounds, and so wants to make amends here now.
Set pieces have proven to be a big thing in this league, so hopefully she's able to get this ball into the box and create a dangerous opportunity off of it.
And Marie Canwell has her work cut out for her in this chippy one, making sure that everything is good to go. And Kennedy, big looping service to the top of the 6. Manor met with some resistance, and Lemir will chip it back in for a second opportunity. Strike, deflected. Manor makes the save.
It's a great strike by Miller to attempt to get that on frame. Manor obviously making a great save, but Miller is a player that has started, I believe, every matchup so far except this one, and she makes such an impact when she is on the pitch. She brings pace, she brings intensity, she brings grit, and she's definitely a player that can find the back of the net, so she has to continue to make an impact.
Little equipment malfunction for Lemir, who's been going through it. She's been getting knocked around, and I guess someone maybe stepped on her boot. We lost it. Also some attention for Emma Regan. Looks to be fine. Says thank you for the training staff for making the walk out here. God, you got your steps in. I will be remaining on this pitch.
It's going to take a lot more than a slight knock for Emma Regan to get off the pitch. That is for sure.
Oh, walking wounded. Millie Clegg gets bandaged up. And again, just the resolve of these players, these fantastic athletes, to continue on with the task at hand despite different levels of adversity that they've faced. It's great to see Clegg get the clean bill of health to come back in this match.
It's going to make for an awesome photo at some point. She's going to look back on this and say, you know, there was a game where I ran right into the post and I got a cool photo out of it. I'm glad to see she's okay, though, all jokes aside. The first time
those words have been linked together in the English language. Jess, I can't lie. The first time maybe in history. Cannot confirm, though.
Well, I will say, when I broke my nose and I played with that mask on, I looked ridiculous. The photographer purposely took photos of me. So.
You're like speaking from experience.
And now I look back and I laugh at them. But in the moment, I absolutely hated them.
There has been one change made here by AFC Toronto, and that ball was hit on by Lauren Rowe, who is making her NSL debut here for AFC Toronto, her first appearance. I know that one of the things that Toronto was excited about for Rowe as we get a look at her is her speed. Marko Milanovic told us 2 matches ago, she didn't make an appearance, she was available to be put in the match though. Her speed is going to really give some people some trouble. Blazing.
And as a new player coming into the environment, you feel you have so much to prove. You want to impress not only your coaches, but the fans and people. You want to get your name out there. So I think that this is a big moment for her. She has to step up here. He did mention her pace to us, so I'm excited to see that. But just overall, a great opportunity for her, and excited to see what she can contribute to this already very strong Toronto attack.
coming in for Jade Kovacevic in relief. And Lauren Rowe, let's see what you can do. The Newfoundland native coming from the North Toronto Soccer Club, just 20 years old, making her NSL debut. Feels like every day in this league we're getting big moments, history made, and it's part of the brilliance of the NSL and everything that it represents. So will we get some more history today? There's a lot on the line for AFC Toronto. 5 wins in a row is what they're circling. Well, Halifax is hoping to leapfrog Vancouver in the standings. With a win, they'll be able to do that, at least momentarily, or Vancouver has their match later this weekend. Kennedy hits the brakes. AFC Toronto fly by her, and now it's an opportunity using their back line for Halifax, and then straight up the center of the pitch for Clegg. Turned over, Katembo.
It's well in by Katembo.
Picket. She'll take the opportunity that's presented to her, trying to get it behind to Hunter. Small instead with the strike, and it's deflected, and you see Toth making absolute sure that that wouldn't bounce in the face of goal, and it'll be a corner kick here for Toronto.
We mentioned it pregame, Ashley, the game that this back line is going to have to shut down the lethal attack that Toronto has up front. And they're doing that so far. Leslie and Wickers have stepped up, whether that's shutting down Kaylee Hunter or that's recognizing that through ball that Pickett's trying to play through, Leslie recognizing that and redirecting it. So far, they have stepped up in the back line, and they are making it hard for this Toronto team to find that cohesion that we're typically used to seeing from them.
Nakamura blocks her maybe 5th corner kick that's been sent directly to her. In the first half, she was an absolute menace, 2-3 in a row. She ended up dispatching, and Barnett, as you mentioned earlier, having a little bit of tough time on that service here tonight.
You're seeing the frustration in all of them. You saw Barnett, her face after she made that pass. Regan, a bit of frustration because it is such a simple pass. And again, it's those little things that you have to perfect. And those are typically the things that Toronto is so great at. They are so tenacious and they're so resilient, but the technical aspect of the game has very rarely let them down. And right now we're seeing those little things hurt them a little bit. So they have to be able to connect those slight passes, as that one where Barnett just has to find Emma's feet. Has to be a little better and cleaner from Toronto.
Setto looking to chip that to Miller. Gets a little too much on it. That'll fly out of bounds. Halifax flipping the script a little bit, applying a little bit of pressure to this Toronto side, matching them number for number. See the frustration on this throw here. And again, it's moments like that where that ball didn't have an opportunity for Toronto to even take advantage of the possession. It rolled right into the corner, and now Halifax regains the advantage.
And it's important to note, we're judging Toronto based off of the standard they have set for themselves. We've seen them be so great in these moments and from game to game, where when you see them play like this, and it's the little things that are letting them down, you can always blame fatigue, you can always blame travel. There's so many aspects that the teams are having to deal with that are not very ideal, I would say. But overall, you have to do the little things right. And so that is the standard that we're holding Toronto to. They're in first place for a reason. They're a team that's very capable. Whereas when you shift it to Halifax, there's so many great things that they've done throughout the season, but they haven't been able to piece it together. And so far, for this 68 minutes, they have brought it. So it is definitely important to note that we are being a little bit more critical on Toronto. I'm harping on them a lot more because I do think that this is a side that has so much more capability. And Halifax is showing us what they're capable of, I would say, for the first time this season in a consistent manner.
It's a point well made, and it's fair because Toronto hold themselves to a high standard as well. Nonetheless, 0-0. Setto in the middle of the pitch lays it off for Lemir, and she shoots that from space, and it again narrowly misses the top left-hand corner, and she is hungry for one.
Talk about a lethal left foot. Karima Lemir has showcased her ability this game time and time again. She hits this one time. Toronto is lucky that went over the bar because there's no stopping that had that been on frame.
She is not shy, I'll tell you that. A fantastic, and that's also on Setto for knowing her teammate is primed for a strike like that. Lays it off one touch about 15 yards outside of the box. Lemir lets it fly. Turn for Hunter, gets dragged down, no call. Advantage, Rowe. It's gonna be a corner kick.
You mentioned Setto. Sorry, Ashley, didn't mean to interrupt you, but you mentioned Setto, but we spoke about Nakamura, Lemir, and Setto in that first half and what they were bringing to this match, and they're continuing to dominate in the middle of the park there, and you love to see it, a young player coming into the mix who hasn't gotten a start, and she's very much living up to the standard that she's obviously being held to, having gotten this first start. So great to see, but they continue to dominate in the middle of the park.
And Valerie Setto, as we mentioned off the top, her 10th appearance, first start. But now Colby Barnett. That one gets some loft. Toth, easy. It's just a game. Just catch the ball. She is making it look much more simple than it is, and Halifax are not even in a conversation of winning this match if it hasn't been for her so far this game.
Calm, cool, and collected, and absolutely dominating inside her 18 and her 6-yard box. That ball is hers every single time.
Picket, chip, Rowe. She gets her head on it, but also collides at the top of the 18. Halifax come away with it. No shot on goal. That was almost a welcome to the NSL moment. Collision with Fremo. Picket does her best. Lemir trying to catch Toth, crossbar. Just when you think you have a feel of this game, things like this keep happening, and Picket really trying to be advantageous, and that was almost a disaster for Halifax.
It's the high IQ that Picket has. You see, she looks up, she recognizes that Toth is too far off of her line, and she attempts to chip her, and why not? And it was a great strike at that, obviously going off the crossbar, but very close, and great recognition from her.
Let's take another look at this near goal from center, essentially, from Picket.
Talk about a great first goal had that gone in.
Oh, Toth counting her blessings. Speaking up to the skies, thank you. 0-0 still here, 73rd minute at Wanderers grounds. This is the NSL presented by BMO, Northern Super League, week 14. And Victoria Picket at it again. She'll go against Lemir. Katembo makes a run, clears some space. Picket opts for a more subdued approach, and now the cross. Fallen in the box is from Mo, I believe. Second opportunity, Hunter. AFC Toronto unable to capitalize, and now Nakamura back the other way. She's driven off her line of attack by Emma Regan.
You saw her look up for Fremo making that run, but Fremo was down, I believe. You see her holding her neck after a bit of a collision in the box. But Halifax is giving Toronto no time and space. You see Kaylee Hunter, the frustration continues every time she is even near the ball. Someone is on her back, they're putting some physical pressure on her, applying a bit of that push, throwing her off of her game. And they need to continue to do so, because Kaylee Hunter, if you do give her even an inch, she will take a mile.
Hunter pulled down. Embellishments, as our official, continue to play on, and Clegg advances up the pitch. She was looking for Miller. And, you know, I will say, interim head coach for Halifax, Stephen Hart, said, hey, we're not worrying about Toronto. We don't really have a game plan for them. We're worrying about internally what we can do. I feel led astray. I feel bamboozled. I feel there's a very specific game plan in place that's being executed and executed well by Halifax.
But he harped on the mentality, and I think a lot of what we're seeing is that.
Yes.
These players know what Kaylee Hunter can do. They've seen the quality that she has and the threat that she poses, and they are going into every tackle with purpose. They are not letting her get away. So yeah, absolutely, Ashley, whether he said Wickers don't let her move, or these are the players.
Don't let her breathe.
Or this is the players and really leading that charge. He mentioned wanting to give them the bravery and the freedom to do and act as they see on the pitch.
Yes, that autonomy.
They're doing it. Absolutely. So they're doing it, and you're seeing the confidence grow in them from game to game. But in this game alone, I would say for the past 74 minutes, they've continued to grow as a team.
The next step for this Halifax side is making their offense a little bit more consistent. We talked about it off the top. They've won their last 2 matches 1-0 each. They have yet to score more than 2 goals in any match so far this season. They've lost 3-2, so the opportunities have been there, but they haven't had that one performance. And can Nakimura lead it right now? She lays it off to Miller, broken up by Katembo, and Picket will go back the other way. And that's the one thing. It's the connecting the dots. Okay, how's our defense? Goaltending, check. Midfield, strong, astute. And now the final third. That takes a weird bounce, but Rowe able to adjust.
And he mentioned to us, Ashley, he wants that pre-final pass to be cleaned up and perfected, because that is what they're lacking at times. It's the person passing the ball to the individual that can make the final pass for a goal-scoring opportunity that hasn't been coming together. The build-up is there, the compactness and the front-footedness that you want when you're defending. It's all slowly coming together for them, but it's that pre-final pass that's been letting them down, and we are seeing that today.
Regan, watched by Norcus, gives it up to Small. Beats Lemir with speed, gets to the 18. Setto, no good. Deflection falls to Barnett Hunter. Oh, that strike goes just wide, calling for a deflection. And Kaylee Hunter, what does she have to do?
Nikki Small with some more individual brilliance. We haven't seen too much of her on the ball today, but when she gets on it, she makes no mistake to create things. She cuts this back. Barnett isn't able to get a strike on goal there, but Kaylee Hunter is going to take the opportunity to do so, obviously deflecting out and winning a corner kick here.
Rollins in the box, joining Hunter. Regan directing traffic. Barnett on the service. Curling inside. Toth hits the deck, and interference called on Victoria Picket.
That was a great delivery, and we were talking about and harping on the poor delivery that Barnett has been putting in the box, when we're typically used to seeing her get great delivery and great service in and creating dangerous opportunities. But those are the kinds of balls, that you want to see her put in. She drops that right where Toth is, but Picket getting a little bit caught up there and getting a call against her.
Substitution for the home side. Nakamura's evening is over after a dominating performance in the midfield, and she will be replaced by Sarah Taylor, Nova Scotia native, playing in her 5th NSL match so far this season. Trying to get some fresh legs on this pitch here for the home side. Katembo steps in. Rowe strikes. And that bounces to the left of the goal.
You see here Rowe getting in there, Katembo reading that. Rowe attempting to strike this on frame. It just goes wide. Kaylee Hunter with her hands up. I believe she wanted that to her feet. She really just wants to get on the end of one of these with all the frustration that she's been having to deal with in the first half, as well as leading into the second.
It's one of those ones where, you know, I don't have another match for a while, so I'm going to need to get a goal, or I'm going to think about it for the next 4 days until we see Montreal.
Very true.
Those ones haunt you, but that's the sign of a competitor. That's who you want on your roster, the ones who can't wait to get it back. Lemir, she'll strike it from there. She's shown us that before. This time opts for the chip, trying to find Setto. It bounces out of bounds. Reset for AFC Toronto. Manor on the goal kick.
You saw there Leslie reading that and applying that pressure to Toronto to force them to cough it up a little bit. There was some argument there if there was a push on the back, but that is what they've been doing so well.
Sprung is Rowe, 1v1 Meg goal! And this is exactly what Marko Milanovic was talking about. Welcome to the show. Lauren Rowe makes it 1-0 for Toronto.
What a debut. Lauren Rowe, wow, welcome to the NSL. That was a great goal. We saw that pace that Milanovic was speaking about. We know that Toth is going to want that one back, but we're going to look at it here again. This is a great ball in. Hunter with some great spin out. She finds Nikki Small, who plays this ball through to Rowe, who times that so well and is able to meg Toth to get on the board.
Talk about insult to injury. Our little agent of chaos, Nikki Small, with the service. Rowe, whoop, right through the legs of Toth, who's been A1 all match. And you can see the celebration, the happiness that all these AFC Toronto players have for each other. And to your point, bravo, Lauren Rowe. What a debut. And she gives Toronto the lead they've been searching for.
They weren't going to allow Toth to shut down another breakaway opportunity.
If she did, that's it. Wrap it up. Give the points to Halifax, because if you go 3 for 3 on 1v1 breakaways, I'm leaving here with something.
But you see there, that was started because of how much focus is on Kaylee Hunter. She does so well to come out and pull those defenders. Small getting in behind and feeding that through. But it's those movements off the front, specifically from Hunter, when you are marked up and you know the defense is so aware of you, that you're going to free up a player like Rowe to be able to get in behind and score those opportunities.
Speaking of freeing up, Miller dances in the 18. She sends that just to the wide right of goal. And we have a substitution for Halifax in the celebration for AFC Toronto. And Valerie Setto, her evening is over. A great performance in her first start, 10th match of the season. And it's going to be Cristabel Odoro who comes in looking to equalize for the Tides. '83rd minute at Wanderers grounds. How will this Halifax team respond? We've talked about Toronto's adversity. We know that they've been able to make the most of a multitude of situations. Now Halifax, a team who find themselves having expectations of themselves. What will they do against this Toronto team at the top of the table? Barnett gets the best of Framo. Cross that sails over the goal, and Toth saved from having to make a decision on whether to go up and punch that out or allow the cross to go past her.
It's a great turn to break pressure.
Turnover after some nice work by Taylor. It's Norcus who retreats to pick up the ball. Rowe pursues. Wickers decides to chip it up, trying to go a little bit more direct. Miller's been on the end of every offering, so she'll go 1v1. Cathro faces her down. Clegg says, I don't know about the head. you see this neon sign, maybe to feet might be advantageous.
But aside
has
from
already
Clegg,
proven fearless.
Aside from Clegg, there's no one else making that run. Miller is obviously on the opposite side, crossing it. Kennedy is, it looked like in the same vicinity as Miller, so there wasn't too much going on in the box that she could have aimed to. Probably not the best decision to strike that in the air, as you said, Ashley. But it's those opportunities that we were speaking about that are letting Halifax down. They've done so well in transitional moments to build up, or whether that's just in the regular run of play. But that final cross, that final shot, that final pass is not coming together.
A moment to talk to our official who summons Nikki Small because she used her body to collide with Eva Framo, who has had a rough night. Physicality both initiated and then also being exposed to from AFC Toronto. Anne-Marie Canwell doing her best to negate any extracurriculars. Keeping control of this match, allowing it to be physical, but not too far.
I like that. Extracurriculars. It's a great way to say it.
Yeah, it's spoken like someone who indulges in them every time they play a
yeah,
match.
absolutely.
Like, how can I rebrand this? Strike, sails wide. No threat on that one from Halifax. And, you know, AFC Toronto doing a nice job of keeping those opportunities from Halifax from distance. If you have the skill and the touch like Lemir to get close, it's one of those ones where pick your poison. Time ticking away here. Toronto happy to waste it. Halifax needs to move if they want to equalize. Regan trying to direct Picket to go forward to Katembo there. Picket says let's regroup here. Let's be pragmatic about our approach. Barnett 1v1 easily gets past Framo. Small. Throw in for Toronto. Barnett enters the frame. She'll take this one. Framo needs to steel herself. They're going to come at her. They're going to continue to push the issue.
And they're going to hold it into that corner if they can as the time winds down.
Barnett backed up. AFC Toronto have numbers. They're not being shy about getting forward. Kennedy thought she had it, and it's going to be rewarded to Toronto, as a matter of fact. Small now managed by two. Framo wins the ball. Lemir turns, clears. Foot race. Little clutching and grabbing from Croy Soto. Halifax calling for a booking. As you see every fan in the place on their feet at Wanderers grounds.
Miller making an impact since the moment she stepped in. She's collecting every single ball that goes forward. She's attempting to take shots. She's getting crosses in the box for them. Definitely a bright spot for them when she stepped on the pitch.
She has 2 goals, 1 assist in 10 matches this season. This is her 11th appearance. Scored her goals in back-to-back games against Vancouver, against Calgary. Wickers. Big service to the penalty spots. Halifax unable to make contact, and all I see are red jerseys circling that offering from Wickers.
Toronto is going to do everything to protect this 1-goal lead. They're a team that has shown resilience. They're tenacious, so we know that they're not going to give it up that easily. They're going to attempt to hold it that final moment. But Halifax is also a team that has shown that resilience through the season, so you know that they're going to push. So this is going to be an interesting minute.
Big time finale coming up here on NSL Week 14. What a way to kick things off for the Northern Super League. Miller has Kennedy calling for it. Ordoro comes in another wave. From Rowe. Meg brought down just outside the 18, and it was Barnett doing everything in her power to not let Rowe gain another inch of ground.
We're seeing another look at it here. Halifax does well to find Fremo, who's coming forward. She pulls out a little Meg. Barnett frustrated and just puts her body in front of that and takes down Fremo. This is a dangerous opportunity for Halifax. This is a shot on goal type distance, and Karima Lemir is standing over that ball, and we know she can hit it.
No time like the present to look to equalize, as stoppage time now in effect. Toronto up 1-0 on Halifax. Lemir goes direct, and she boots it so high and wide, and that is one of those ones that keep you up at night that we were just talking about, because as you said, she does have the touch to be able to make that work.
It's a matter of finding the balance between the finesse that's necessary in that case and the power that's necessary. And a lot of times what ends up happening is you lean back a little too much in trying to not completely kill the ball and put all your power in it and sky it, but to still keep that finesse. And you saw her there. There was a bit of power, not as much as we saw in her other shots, and she leaned back just a little too far, which caused it to sky over. But there was that curve to it where she was trying to add that aspect of finesse to curve it into the corner. But nonetheless, Ashley, yeah, absolutely. She's going to want that one back, because that was a great opportunity for Halifax to equalize.
Confirmed 4 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. Millie Clegg tries to give that up to Sid Kennedy. She was held, quite obviously, at midfield. Advantage played on for Halifax. And we also have another substitution here. April Latin is now taking the pitch for Toronto. She is coming in relief of Kaylee Hunter. Hunter, a frustrating afternoon, coming off a brace against Ottawa. However, a win's a win, and a 1-0 result despite her being stopped by Toth on a couple of prime opportunities. She'll take the 3 points and keep it pushing.
And that's something that you're going to have to expect as the season continues on, especially when you are playing a team 5 times. The more times you meet a team, they know exactly what you have coming, and they know what your threats are. So Kaylee Hunter is going to have to expect to have teams attempt to shut her down every single time she's in and around that 18.
And Emery Canwell made no allowances for April Lantin, because a yellow card booking immediately. It's announced in stadium that the 18-year-old has been given a booking. It's her 5th appearance for AFC Toronto. She's out of the University of Southern Alabama. And listen, there's more than one way to make a splash.
That's true.
That header right into the box, and that was almost disastrous, as Croy Soto had to pull in her arms not to give away a penalty kick. Manor had to make sure the deflection was read properly. You have to keep your wits about you if you're AFC Toronto. And Halifax not going down without a fight. Fremo looking for Clegg. Errant pass. About 30 seconds here for the Tides to try and change the outcome of this game. Sneak 1 point out of this hard-fought matchup on both sides, and they give up a corner kick by the looks of it, but let me just clean my glasses. This is a goal kick awarded to Toronto instead, and you can see the frustration on Sid Kennedy's face, thinking that they had and bought themselves another lifeline.
It's frustrating for Halifax. They put all the work in. They haven't been able to get that final product out, but we saw them put their heart on the line this entire time. They continued to fight to this final moment, but Toronto obviously in the end finding the quality to put the ball in the back of the net.
And will they add another? Rowe takes it down to Nikki Small, who gets pushed down by Fremo, offside called. AFC Toronto happy to just bide their time and watch the clock tick down. We're 40 seconds over added time. And that is it. You hear the 3 sharp blasts of the whistle, and it's a new NSL win streak record. Toronto extending their own 5 in a row for the visiting side. And off the foot of Lauren Rowe, they escape with 3 points. Her first goal, her first NSL match. Bravo, Mrs. Rowe.
Yeah, that was great. Great for Lauren Rowe. Great moment for her to be able to come in and make an impact and get Toronto this win. I will say I thought Halifax dominated in a lot of areas, mostly in the mentality and how they used the purpose they had behind their possession. Toronto was lucky to come away with this one, but a team that is in first place finds ways to win.
That's exactly it.
So at the end of the day, it wasn't the cleanest performance from them, but they walked away with a win, and there's not much else you can say about that. They're going to go back to the drawing board, I'm sure, and try to clean some things up. But overall, a win is a win. And but frustrating for Halifax, and big game, I would say, for Annika Toth. She stepped up for them massively today.
Let's take a look at how close this was exactly. The tail of the tape speaks volumes. Shots on target, evenly matched. Possession, flip a coin. Fouls, both teams got their shots in. Yellow cards, corner kicks. Toronto had the advantage in terms of numbers, didn't take advantage in terms of the opportunities that they were given. Nonetheless, they come out with the 3 points. A win on the road after travel hardships against a team in Halifax that's on the rise. You couldn't ask for anything more, and we're glad that you were able to join us here today. Coming to you live from the Wanderers grounds in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's AFC Toronto, who win their 5th in a row on the road, and they assert themselves at the top of the table, putting themselves in a position as the team to beat. For myself, Ashley Docking, Jessica Lisi, my partner in crime, and our whole production team, thank you so much for joining us. A lot more NSL action coming to you this weekend. Friday, doubleheader Saturday. We'll be watching, and we hope to see you there as well. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.